What if teaming up with other WordPress companies could unlock new opportunities and faster growth? Whether it's integrations, joint ventures, or co marketing, partnerships are often the key to scaling smarter, not harder. Hi, I'm Zack Katz, founder of GravityKit, Trusted Login, and DataKit. And today I'm hosting WP Product Talk solo, which is fine by me because we have so much to talk about with our guest. Today we're talking about building partnerships in WordPress, and that's why we've invited Jason Coleman today to talk with us. Jason, welcome, and please introduce yourself.
Hey, Zach. Yeah, I'm Jason Coleman. I'm the co-founder of Paid Memberships Pro, a membership platform built on top of WordPress. I'm also the co-author of the book Building Web Apps with WordPress, and recently the co-owner of Lifter LMS, an LMS solution on top of WordPress. So lots of co's there.
Yeah, and there are a lot of opportunities for partnering with people when you have so many different things going on.
Yeah.
So, Jason, why is this topic important for WordPress product owners to consider?
Yeah. So recently over the summer, this is always a good thing to do is talk with customers. You're like, your heads are in the weeds and your head's down and building stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, I should talk to the customer. So I had a moment like that over the summer, and I chatted with set up phone calls with a bunch of customers, and it reiterated again when I'm asking the question like, how did you find out about Paid Memberships Pro? Why did you make the decision to use Paid Memberships Pro? And like the number one answer, or one of the number one answers, is I'm using this other tool and you have an integration with them, so it was the only one that did it. Or I'm using this other tool and they said these really glowing things about you, so I use that. So we get a lot of you know, deal flow, user signups through our integrations with other services and plugins and platforms. And so,
Yeah, it's interesting to consider. Like, there's the like, let's promote each other, let's integrate with each other, but there's also just the partnerships are a way to build awareness about your product.
right.
Like, and mind share in your customers. Who knows how many times people will see you when they go to an integration page on somebody else's website and learn about Paid Memberships Pro for the first time.
Yeah. And I'm finding this is different for every product, but I found for the membership plugin in particular, even though we feel it's one of the most important components of the website, it's like the bedrock, it does so much stuff, it really should be thought about earlier in the process. In reality, people like, I have an idea, I get a domain, I build a website, I put all the things on the website, and then I go, oh my God, I need to charge for access to this. It's like the last thing in the queue that they think about doing. And that's like a challenge for us as a business to figure out. But I think that's true of a lot of products, is like, when actually are people thinking about using your product? And like, where are they? Are they within the WordPress dashboard? Are they using some other tool? Are they trying to connect? And if that's the case, then, business relationships with all those different tools and services are going to be like good lead gen for users and things.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Not only like should contacting hosts, for example, like Awesome Motive is excellent at this and contacting hosts and making sure that they are
Yeah.
a solution that is seen at the very initial installation of WordPress on the host side. Like, okay, while you're doing that, also do this. But
Yeah.
also contacting other people to um, oh shoot, I'm sorry, my brain just went blank. But that's a great point. Every point of the supply chain
Yeah.
of like the customer journey, every single point is an opportunity to identify a partnership that could expand your business. And I think it's also important for people to consider when they're building products, because so many people have an idea of partnership that I don't know is properly calibrated. And I think that
Okay.
people get the idea of like partnerships wrong, where partnerships are this like thing that happens, but it's not a thing that happens. It's a series of relationships and interactions that results in outcomes. But it's not something that happens overnight. You don't just go from 0 to 100 and all of a sudden you're partners. Um, it's partnerships
Yeah.
is a relationship that you build over time. And
Yeah.
because this podcast is something that we're going to, try to help people who may be just starting out, uh, one of the problems is when you're starting out, you don't have any power. You don't have any influence, or not as much as you would, after you've built up some of your customer base and your brand. So it's going to be tough to build a relationship when you don't have anything to offer. So I think that is where you need to make a proactive choice and say, I'm going to write a blog post about your product first. I'm going to make a video about your product first. I'm going to find where you are weak. Like Gravity Kit doesn't have a good TikTok presence. If somebody wanted to become a TikTok partner for Gravity Kit, where they promote Gravity Kit on TikTok, that would add value to us in a way that we are not doing. And I could see
Yeah.
the value there. So prove
Yeah.
yourself first, build that value for them, and then find out who is the person in charge of relationships and partnerships. Contact them and say, I did this for you. I can keep doing this for you. What can we work together on for you providing a give and take on the value that I've just given you?
I love that. I love doing the work up front. Like, if there is a partner that's really important to you, like you said, because you're the small guy and they're the big obvious business to partner with, and you really want it bad, there's this mental trick where you can do where just assume you're already the partner and do all the things anyway, right?
Right.
Um, I heard this trick, I forget who said it, but it was you could do this with mentors as well. So you're like, "I wish this highly prominent, smart person in my field was my mentor." It's like, just pretend they're already your mentor. Like, what would you do if they already were? And, like, one of it is, like, pester them with emails, I guess. That's not it, but, like, it's like, give the good karma, they'll give back to you, but also, like, you think in your head, like, "If we were already partnered, I would start doing these things and just start doing them," and there's gonna be benefit in doing that whether or not, it eventually gets recognized, appreciated, and turns into a formal partnership. It's still good that you created these blog posts, created tools, filled the market, pointed things out, and, participated in their systems.
Yeah, and part of what we try to do in WP Product Talk is talk about our experiences as product owners with the topic that we're talking about. So let's go to story time and talk about some of the personal experiences that we have with partnerships and how they made a difference for you. Like Jason, what are some experiences you've had with building partnerships?
Yeah, well, it's funny, I told you before the show, I was like, "It's funny that I'm talking about this because I think I'm actually not good at it." Like, I always think there's, like, a missing, like, 3rd founder for Paid Memberships Pro who's, like, a really strong extrovert that just likes to go out there and talk to folks. But, I mean, that said, we have had very key partnerships, and I've learned a lot through, it not working. And I have, like, these red flags, and there's stories behind any of these if you're interested, but, like, um, in particular when building integrations with like other services, like we build integrations with email marketing services, other WordPress plugins, e-commerce payment gateways, tax tools, hosts, things like that. There's these red flags that come up when like you're early in the talks that are like, what's going on here? So one is the inability to create a free or pro bono account. So
Hmm.
if you're like, I'm going to integrate my technology with your technology, you're like, give me a free account so I can do it properly. And if they say no, like that's very weird that they're focused on making one sale instead of like integrating with your product. Or they, if they technically can't do it, like that's a weird thing that like I don't trust like even these very big multi-million dollar companies that I'm like, you don't have any way to like give someone access to your tool for free. It's kind of weird, right? It means that they don't do this partner thing a lot. And so that, you know what I mean? It's like a red flag that you're going to find other roadblocks further too. Another one is like sharing code or stats or other important data and tools. So again, like talking like, hey, build this thing and it'll help our customers. And it's like, yeah, you have this similar thing. Like how many users does that have? Yeah, I'm not going to tell you. It's like, wait, you just like asking me to like spend time and money and effort, but like you won't tell me a number. Or like if we work in open source code, so a lot of times the code is available, but it's weird like if they have code, like, oh, that's just like this other thing, let's share this code that isn't public and open source. It's like if they're if they're reluctant there. And it's understandable why they are, but it's also just another indicator that like, oh, they must not do this partnership thing that often. And then the other one, which is like hard to figure out, is like this total disinterest. Because in some cases it feels good. Like if do I have permission to do this? Like, hey, do you mind if I build this thing, or like reach out to your customers or do this thing? And sometimes it feels good. You're like, yeah, whatever you want, go ahead. And you're like, cool. All right. They said whatever I want, I'm going to do it. And it's, that can feel good. And then you build it. But the fact is they didn't really think about it. And so if you start building stuff and then maybe 6 months from now, they're like, oh, actually, we don't want this, or they think about it then, then they might change their tune and their idea around the partnership. And we've had cases like that where we, spend a lot of time and commitment, and then they're like, oh yeah, this, like, we don't want this thing. We're not going to promote this thing. And we're like, wait, what's going on? Like, why didn't you tell me that before?
Yeah, it's when dealing with partnership development, one thing that becomes clear in my experience is that you're dealing with individual humans, and the individual humans have different levels of authority to do different things. And when you reach a certain scale, like you were just talking about, if you're sending a lot of traffic, or you're using their trademark in ways that might not be something that they knew about until you reach a certain scale, then the deal might need to be renegotiated because it reaches the level of somebody's attention that it hadn't before. And recognizing that people are flaky, people are lazy, people are uninformed. There are all the things that you normally have to deal with individuals. Is the same thing when you're dealing with a partnership. And I think that to counteract that, you can have contracts, but if you are just getting started, that's a lot of legwork and a lot of focus. And one of the other things that people always are is busy. And so trying to find time to develop a partnership is one of the big things that is hard to break through.
Yeah.
So when in the WordPress space, when dealing with partnerships, a lot of the time it's code integrations. And I was wondering if you could talk more about like how you approach that.
Yeah. So this is more my forte. So the personal stuff I struggle with more, but we struggle with this too. Like, it's like, okay, how do we actually do this? Literally, where does the code go? And that is in some ways, it's the answer is it depends, but I think it's useful to talk through like the different options and things that we've run into for folks so they can think about it. So I'm thinking, for example, if Gravity Kit and Paid Memberships Pro had an integration, and maybe we can talk later about what that might be, but assuming like it makes sense, like who's gonna maintain the code? Where's the code gonna go? Is it there's a bunch of options. So one is it goes into Paid Memberships Pro as like a module or an includes, and then we just handle it. Like we own it, and maybe you do a pull request or you send us information if something breaks, but it's like, this is a Paid Memberships Pro module. Paid Memberships Pro made the decision. It's important that we support this integration. And we do that for some integrations, or it could be the other way around. Like maybe Gravity Kit, has it as a module inside its code base that says integrate with Paid Memberships Pro. So then there's another option, is that it's an add-on for Paid Memberships Pro. And so technically the code isn't in the core membership plugin, it's in an add-on, it's a separate plugin, but it's still like in our ecosystem, our license and update server, it's on our website, it's an add-on we have for Gravity Kit. Or you could go the other way. I think Gravity Kit probably has add-ons of sorts, right? Like it's an add-on for Paid Memberships Pro. Is it a separate product? And that's useful for like the 80-20 rule. So you're like, a smaller percentage of people need this integration. So it's useful that it's in its own code base, that's on its own update schedule. Because we have add-ons that maybe haven't been updated for like 3 years because they just do the thing really good and they don't have to be updated. And it's almost like it's not even worth like the overhead and of loading the code, or even just showing it as an option if someone, it's not like a common thing. And then a third one, which I've tried over and over again, and I thought was like the ideal solution, but I've changed my tune that I probably will never do this again because it has almost 100% failure rate, is to create a separate plugin that sits between the two plugins, and that's a bridge between them. And then we both maintain it together. So that was my idea. Hey, let's build this thing this integration, make it free for both our users, and then we'll maintain it together. And every single time, it's like try to think of like a relationship analogy, like people grow and change. It's like,
Yeah.
like what we need from the relationship becomes different from what they need from the relationship. But then we have this like thing together that like it's, like it gets torn
Yeah,
in
it's like
half. And
a
like,
plant a plant that needs to be watered, and neither of you are good at watering plants that you don't own. It's like a third plant in between two
yeah.
neighboring houses.
Yeah. So we've had cases where it's a really useful tool. They want to charge for it. So then they're like, they build their own version and charge for it. And you're like, I guess, okay, their business model is different from ours. We've had cases where that the thing that we integrate with kind of becomes more of a competitor. This is this weird WordPress space where we are very friendly with our competitors, but that's changing. I've seen it feels like it's changing over time. And we've all seen kind of like a front end login plugin become a profile plugin, become a membership plugin, become now an e-commerce plugin. And now you're like, shoot, like they used to fill the gap of a feature and vice versa, but now we kind of have more overlapping features than not. And it's awkward that we have this integration that we have to figure out what to do with. But yeah, so there's,
What's the line
pros and cons to
between
each method. Yeah.
What's the line between partner and competitor? Like how if I'm
Yeah.
looking at
Yeah.
like I am friendly with a lot of people that do competing products, but
Yeah.
I don't know that it's a problem because people run multiple plugins to do different things, and we might be talking about that, or we're going to be talking about that later in our call.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your and my products do have some overlap, but they're not. Our customers are very different, I think, in a way, even though they're also very similar. Like they're
Yeah.
trying to accomplish similar things from different directions. So, where do you
Right.
identify a competitor versus like where does it become a problem while you're
Yeah.
developing a partnership?
And it becomes, and that's why I think the competitors is just the nature of the business, and working with your competitors is also the nature of business. What is tough is I think that like third option, which if we work together we should avoid, right? Where it's kind of like we said we would maintain this thing together, because then we have competing incentives that will push in another direction. And it's like, I think it's healthier technology wise if it's like one of the two parties just says, I own this I own this integration. Right. And that way, then if it changes, like the other party says, okay, like, they can go on the race. Like, but maybe that's just my personality is like, I want control and I need stuff. But I don't know. We could like talk through I don't know when you want to segue to.
Yeah, sure. Let's
Game
segue.
for working together, but it might help people to
So
have
Jason
context.
and I have known each other for a long time, and I think we first really truly met at Cabo Press in like 2019, 2018.
I can't forget the year, but yeah, we were in a
We
lunch
met
group
a while
and
ago,
ate tacos
and
together. Yeah.
we were in the same group, and we talked a lot about our products. And at the end of Cabo Press, I was like, "Hey, Jason, we should talk about like integrating and partnering somehow." And Jason said, "Yeah,
Oh, sure.
let's figure this out." And I still have it on my reminders app, Jason. I saw it.
Oh,
I
really?
scrolled. I have a like pretty much infinite scroll on my reminders list, and it's like talk to Jason with PM Pro. And recently, I was thinking the Gravity Kit team meeting revealed that we needed to have a preferred membership plugin that we kind
Oh,
of
okay.
work with and refer people to, because the plugin that we've been referring people to didn't do all the things that our customers needed. And so I said, well, I happen to know Jason, and the support team said, that's great. Paid Memberships Pro is one of the tools that our customers love. And so I said, well, great, let's figure out some sort of way that Jason and I could talk about partnerships. And in advance of our partnerships call today, I said, Jason, why don't we do this live? What does a partnership between Gravity Kit and Paid Memberships Pro look like?
Yeah.
And here's my pitch to you, Jason. And
Okay.
this pitch is not going to be perfect. Because I didn't prepare the actual pitch.
But also we're friends, so I would accept.
But we're also friends.
We're
Exactly.
we're acquaintances, which is often the case.
And that's a good lesson for people who are trying to figure out their own partnership approach, the more you know somebody, the more open-ended something could be. You can figure it out with somebody because they will give you the bandwidth and the leeway to figure out an approach together. If you don't know somebody, you will want to know what they're looking for ahead of time, ideally, in the partnership. But because Jason and I know each other, I will say something along the lines of, Jason, our customers often want a membership plugin that gives people a membership dashboard. And in that dashboard, they would see the submissions that they have created with Gravity Forms. And what we currently don't have great support for that with Paid Memberships Pro. And part of that is because of the technical things of getting the username from the slug, and the URL is a little different than how there is a really easy way to do this in WordPress with Paid Memberships Pro. There's a single function to get the ID. All we need to do is a quick little integration in code, and we can make it easier for Gravity View users to add their form submissions on the account page. There are not hooks that would make that easy yet, but I think that adding those hooks on the Paid Memberships Pro side would allow us to add an integration on our side to display Gravity View views on the account membership page. I'm proposing that we add things on our side, you add the hooks on your side, and we figure out and we co-promote it with blog posts. We will promote it on our newsletter. We will maybe add a compatibility page that talks about how you can use it together to how you can use Paid Memberships Pro with Gravity View, and talk about how well it all works, and give some testimonials from customers who love the integration.
Cool. I'm excited. I'm sold. Let's do it. It's a good idea. I like it because in general, Paid Memberships Pro restricts access to anything in WordPress. We have a blog post, and it's I think it's 30 or 40 things. Here's how you block this. Here's how you block this. And so it's here's how you block, form entries is maybe or maybe not something we already have on that list. But it's basically, so this is not I don't think it's a tall ask technically, and we're always open to putting hooks and filters in place. So that's all on you. If you build it and you kind of show us the proof of concept, we might change the name of the hook or exactly where it goes, but roughly we'll kind of, make it work for you. If we saw the proof of concept. And in particular, I think it's more than just hey, you can do that and we'll allow it. It's also, we're interested to co-promote it in a sense, because recently at Paid Memberships Pro, now here's something that's we have a membership directory add-on, which kind of potentially competes with Gravity Kit in a way.
And that is what we would be integrating into. Is
the membership directory
add-on. Yeah, the directory add-on. Yeah, because I didn't.
Okay. Huh.
Unless you think that it could be something else. Yeah.
Yeah. See, and here's and actually I approach this from the technology standpoint, because that's my personality, and also how we operate as a business is we're a users first, solutions first business, and I'm not even talking about the business money aspects of this yet. That would always come later. So this is the way I would operate, and I don't think every company and business person is this way. If you're talking to a nerd like me, it's hey, start with the technology and get them excited about it, and then you're how can we make this make business sense? I think for other folks it'd be different. But anyway, so okay, so that's actually interesting. But let me explain to you and the audience. We have a membership add-on, and so
a directory add-on.
Yeah, directory add-on rather, right? Yeah. So the the membership component, and built into our core plugin is a front-end login, a front-end profile, a front-end account page, which I think is pretty useful if you have a tool like Gravity Kit that's requiring people to log in and do stuff on the front end. Some of those features, you probably do some of that also, or don't want to, or something. It's something we figure out. But we have a membership directory add-on, which is it's pretty rough. We did some updates. We're due to do some more updates, but when we were figuring out exactly how to do those, one of the things that complicated things was that there's different types of directories, and trying to serve them all was really tough for us. So we've actually decided that we're only going to focus on membership directories that are literally directories of human members. Every member has to be a human being, and every member has to be like a user account on the website. And so that means there's a bunch of directories of like businesses, listings, products that people were using and already using Paid Memberships Pro for, but like forcing the square into the round hole, or however that analogy
Yeah,
goes.
and that's exactly
Yeah.
those are the things that Gravity View excels at.
Yeah.
And
So
so,
it's useful for us if we work on this together, because then when those people come into our system and they're unhappy at any point of our sales funnel, like, oh my God, you don't do this, or I tried to do it and I can't. Like if we could catch them early and say, no, you should just use Gravity Kit.
yeah,
Like that's
and that's
useful
where
for us. Yeah.
next.
Okay.
So we seem to
Yeah. Yeah.
agree that this is a cool thing.
Yeah.
The next steps would be probably, I would say something along the lines of, because we're doing this live,
Yeah.
I'm happy to offer a discount to Pay Memberships Pro customers that you refer to us, as well as an affiliate referral, a commission that you get for people that you refer to us, so that
Yeah.
you benefit from sharing our tools, and your customers also benefit by paying less to get in to get started with the solution that we're trying to put
Yeah.
together.
And vice versa. And I think you probably do. Like we have a standard affiliate program that we could easily slot you into. It's funny. It's nice to have like the easy stuff. It's like, oh, give you an
Right.
affiliate account. You come through this link. People get a discount. You get a kickback. We can put you, we have like add-ons where our other integrations, kind of third-party integrations show up. And so we already have a process. We can do that. And then promote to the email list. That's like an interesting one. Like, because I found over time that it kind of doesn't work. Like if we built this and I sent out an email, here's a new thing, check it out. It was like, I could send it to, and our list is something like 50,000 users. I'd be surprised if it was more than 10 or 20 sales. Like,
Right.
it's kind of just our email audience is not looking to buy random, like no offense to this project we're building, but to them it's random because they're like, they already built the site and it's running. So I always like, so that stuff we don't do, but it's nice if we can find like a clever way to do it where we either use it ourselves, create like a blog post, find a common customer case study, like, quietly get it working for like a really good customer, build a case study. Then we put the case study on our site. So it gets more clever and there's more work involved, but that's also kind of like after we've already built the stuff.
Right. And
But
a lot of
just,
this,
yeah,
when I
yeah,
approach people for partnerships outside of podcasts, I try to to them with a blog post that's already written by by Casey, who's in charge of our content at Gravity Kit. They've written the blog posts that they will post on their blog for the cross promotion. The more
yeah,
that we do to make your life easier as a partner, the better. And
yeah,
the goal for good partnerships, I think, is try to reduce each other's friction as much as possible.
yeah.
And so
But it, yeah,
for email, for example,
right.
if you find that it's not been successful, one of the things we can do is propose a different approach and say, like, hey, we know a lot of our customers use Gravity forms. This might be interesting to you. Like, not
Right.
about Gravity Kit or Gravity View specifically, but like, hey, y'all who use Pay Memberships Pro and Gravity Forms, check this out. Like,
Yeah. And I think even, yeah, but the specific integrations, partnership is interesting to me. Like I said, because we're making a direction on our directory product, and I don't know where they are or how many, but we have customers already using our directory product that really should be using yours. And so I would focus on
and
finding
probably
them,
likewise,
get them,
yeah.
yeah, get them to transition, so it's kind of, and yeah, you have to get into our like shape up. That's another card. Did we talk about shape up on product talk? I should come back and talk about that.
We
Our
haven't, I don't think. Yeah.
Shape Up is a book by the Basecamp folks, but it's our like process for figuring out what we work on and how we work on things. And we have like it's a schedule of quarters. And so it's kind of, I'm very slow. That's the thing. And I don't have a solution for this because sometimes we get so much, we're excited. We're at Cabo Press and we're like, yes, we should build this, and we could find a developer, build it in a weekend, make it launch. But the reality of my business at this point is that like there's a cadence to how things get proposed, how they get worked on, and when they get pitched. And that's different from yours. And it's kind of like, do we get lucky that we're both in the mindset to work on this at the same time? Like not just us, but the whole team. So
And that's a topic that we haven't really talked about is how to prioritize partnerships, because it's so easy for partnerships to get pushed down when you're trying to release a really cool new feature versus just like adding an integration to another thing, right? That may
Yeah.
or may not add value for more than a couple percent of your user base. How do you prioritize partnerships in your own internal planning?
Yeah. That's a great question.
Because for me,
Yeah.
when it comes to I am a very intuitive business owner, and sometimes that means that I make I change our priorities too often, and that sometimes can frustrate the team a little bit, I think. But it also means that when I realize that we aren't spending enough time on something, and that the alignment of the company isn't properly aligned to moving the ball forward, as opposed to like, it's so easy to navel gaze when it comes to writing code. You can say like, oh, I can improve this, I can improve that, I can add this feature. None of that matters, as opposed to
That's
getting
also like, maybe like an angle on that is, instead of where I am now, if I think back to when we were smaller, because that's also the audience, I think that's why it's important to this like nice guy syndrome type thing I'm thinking about with like the incentives and where does the code go, is like, you should do this work and make sure it makes sense for you, like in a vacuum, like like that you're not going to be upset with the work that you do if you build this tool for Paid Memberships Pro and then they say, you won't understand this, but we use this thing called Shape Up, and I'm not going to be able to get to it till next year. And you're like, what? And it's really wild that like use that to your advantage. These bigger companies are like, you really can't like get a blog post out like in a week. It's like, with rare exceptions, can I force my team to write something in a week time? So it's like, so make sure like when you're doing that like the work that you're doing works for you. You're like always learning, or it's easy to translate to another partner. I built this for PM Pro and like they seem like they're not into it. I'm just going to ask MemberPress to do it. I did all the work, like conceptually at least. But yeah, that's part of it. And
yeah, that's great advice. And
know.
like thinking strategically for my company, the more partners that we have, the better if they're good partners. The more partners that are bad partners, it's just a drag on the company. But if the more alignment we have with our partners, it boosts everybody. And if my not focusing on partners has not helped GravityKit. And so for example, we're developing a new Elementor widget for Gravity View, and I am going to be reaching out to the Elementor partner team who have whom I know because I've gone to conferences and developed those relationships, and see what we can do to help Elementor and what they can do to promote our integration with them. So all of that is based on our customers' need for an Elementor widget, but it also, when thinking of features, thinking of like the partnership opportunities that come in with this, is important. Like for your payment processing, for example.
I was going to segue into that. Like, and maybe you can give me some product therapy here, because it's related to that. How do you decide if you do an integration? I have this this thing that I'm calling wait, hold on, where is it? What do you call it? I'm calling this the sucker of last resort, which is how I feel sometimes with some of these integrations. And one in particular is like, for example, authorize.net is the oldest existing payment gateway. And we've integrated with that forever ago, in 2009 or something like that. And the API was going out of date. It's like too technical, long story. They didn't support secure customer authentication. Now MasterCard's going to drop the old API. And apparently they have a new API, but it was totally off our radar. We've been telling customers to switch away from authorize.net. Further, and maybe this is important for us making decisions on what to do, it's not really a good fit culturally for our product, because authorize.net tends to be a gateway that people really big sites use because they can shave like a fraction of a percent off their transaction
Yeah.
fees. When you say just use Stripe and you're like, oh, it's 3% instead of 2.5%. And you're like, yeah, it's worth it. Like, I don't understand. Like, how much are you actually saving? Whereas our product actually is focused on the little guy. So we probably should spend our time integrating with Square, which is more of a gateway that kind of promotes like we support people who can't get supported in the traditional market. That's a lot of background. But why do I call it like the sucker of last resort? We have this integration with authorized.net. My dog's bothering me. Do you want to see the cute dog?
Oh.
If you see me fighting on screen, we have this integration with authorized.net, and it's needed to be updated for a couple of years. We didn't even realize there was a new version, and we were like, should we build it? And I'm like, why should I build it? Visa owns authorized.net. They're literally the 15th largest company in the whole entire planet with like $560 billion in market cap. It's like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of their budget to hire one developer to maintain this thing. And it would probably be worth it for them because they also make the most money out of this thing. They make 1 to 3% of like all credit cards that go through like the integration. So it's kind of like, why doesn't authorized.net have some team to like build these integrations and maintain them for everyone? I don't know. I guess they do for strategic partners. But in reality, I guess the solution is people. Authorized.net doesn't want people using Paid Memberships Pro with their thing. Otherwise, they would have built it themselves. Okay, so then you go to next in line. Who's next in line to be the sucker? It's like there's people using Authorized.net and Paid Memberships Pro together. A lot of them make more money than my company makes. They're making millions of dollars a year selling stuff with Paid Memberships Pro. And it's like, well, where is it in their budget to maintain the integration? Like they don't know. They're just, they would switch technologies if it actually was an issue and they had to pay a developer. So then it kind of like falls to us, and these things fall to us, and it's like, okay, like, because we're listening to the users and the customers. And like you said, you kind of do it based on feel. It's like if enough people bother us that like, hey, you should build an integration with authorized.net. And we're like, man, there's like a few hundred people asking us to build this. Maybe we should build it and we'll get users. But it's almost like, are we just building it? Like, it's weird. Why? It's good for me to think, why is no one else building it? Why did it fall to us? That means it's not really important to them. Maybe I don't have to build the solution for them. And I think more strategically, like authorized.net is a kind of gateway that caters to a certain audience. It's not necessarily in alignment with like our target user avatar. And so, so I'm thinking, hey, make sure that we think things through like that instead of just, there could be more people bugging us about authorized.net, but integrating with something like Square is actually a better opportunity. So anyway.
Yeah, and when it gets more niche, it often is a good idea to A, reconsider whether or not it's a good idea, and B, maybe charge more for the product. If fewer people use it, you could say, okay, it's going to cost more than our normal integrations, and
that could become our first premium add-on. Yeah,
exactly.
Outside the core bundle.
Yeah. So at this point in the podcast, we tend to go to best advice for new product owners when it comes to partnerships. Jason, what you got for best advice?
So I'm almost certain that I did some version of this last time I was on the show, but I think it is really important. It's worth being stated twice, and it's kind of timely. But it's very important that you maintain the connection to your customers at all costs. And so what I mean by that is, in the beginning, you could leverage other platforms for exposure. So for example, are you selling your plugin in like the WooCommerce marketplace or on ThemeForest or downloading off WordPress.org? But when you're doing that, you should still try to capture that relationship with your customer. So like a very specific example is if your plugin is on ThemeForest or your theme and people come to your website first, don't just link them to ThemeForest and like, cool, done. It's worth it to add a little bit of friction and say like, give me your email or sign up for a user account here. And then we verify that's a real email. And then we give you the link. And you're like,
that's
yeah,
even
if
you have a free plugin on .org, putting up.
Yeah, totally.
Sorry if I'm stealing your what
it's
you're going to say next. Putting up a product page on your own website that says we have a free version, and here enter your email to get access to it, and then you submit, and it goes to the .org page even. But at least you've developed a connection with your customer that you would otherwise not have.
Yeah, insert your business in there and gather at least their email address or as much information about that customer as you can, because then you actually have a customer. And there's lots of people have talked about this in the context of like the Apple app store or the Android app stores, where it's like, people pay for something on Apple, and then you're not actually connected to the customer, and you can't solve their billing issues and stuff like that. Like you want as much as possible to be connected to that customer. So even in the early days, do it. And who knows, maybe later on you're changing platforms or you want to do something like that. And if you have direct access to your customer, all that stuff is a lot easier.
Yeah, that's good advice. For me, when I'm putting together a proposal for a partnership, I find it very helpful to be specific in the partnership goals and deliverables. And Jason and I didn't just do this, but we should have, and we might in offline talk about
Yeah.
the actual things that we're going to try to accomplish with this partnership. Where uh, a certain number of downloads, a certain number of referrals, a certain number of emails that are sent referencing things, a certain number of clicks on those emails, like some sort of metric that you can determine, is this working or not? Is this helping both of us or not? And when will you do what you said you were going to do? That's kind of
Mm.
hard to land on sometimes, especially when you plan quarterly. Like it might not come
Yeah,
up
yeah.
for another quarterly round of planning, but it's like, okay, by this time I will have done this. And then you can look back and ask yourself, has this partnership, has the person delivered on what they said they would? If not, then maybe they don't care, like Jason was saying earlier. Maybe it's a unilateral relationship, and that's fine, because regardless of what happens between Jason and me, in when it comes to this partnership that we've talked about, our customers use your customers use our product, and if we each individually add some functionality that helps integrate, that'll benefit our customers. So,
Yeah.
like you were saying, Jason, I think that makes a lot of sense, to build whatever works for you, regardless. Um, but I find that having clear partnership goals and deliverables is really a good idea off the bat. Um,
Yeah.
and
Totally agree.
then uh, follow up. It's so easy to just say,
Mm.
well, we made a deal. That's it. We're done. We are now partners, and this is going. No, you've got to follow up on a regular basis to check in and see how things are going. If not, nothing generally happens. So that is my best advice for new product owners.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jason, for joining us. That's a wrap for the show. Where can people find you online?
Yeah. I'm Jason_Coleman on the X app, and you can find my personal blog at therealjasoncoleman.com. And PM Pro is available at paidmembershipspro.com. So it's been awesome chatting with you, Zach.
Yeah. Thank you. And everybody tune in next week as we discuss how email is freaking hard with Adrian Toby of Groundhog. That's an important one to tune in because Black Friday is coming up, y'all. We got to get our emails scheduled if you haven't already. Special thanks to Post Status for being our green room, where we plan and coordinate this stuff. If you're enjoying these shows, please do us a favor, hit like, subscribe, share it with your friends, reference this show in your newsletters or your own podcasts. But most of all, we hope to see you next week. Thanks, y'all. Bye.